Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Daisy, your hostess. In this video, we're going through the book titled The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. In the previous chapter, the author talked about how to get the results you want. And I want to talk a little bit about that before I move on to the next chapter. And it's the idea that he was saying that many people don't get the results they want because they block their own answers. And you probably have seen someone like this or know someone like that, probably close to you. And they just don't give things a chance. It says, oh, it didn't work for me. But you know what? I've come to learn that you have to give things time. And especially if you're coming from like ground zero, where you are not familiar with the workings of energy, or the workings of synchronicity, or the idea of what it's like to push something out into the universe and then to begin to work with it. Many of you probably have put a seed in the ground, if anything, done a project when you were a little kid and putting a bean, right, in a little cup. And that bean didn't grow right away. Now, you know what's interesting about that? Because I like to plant little things in my garden. Every seed has a few things in common. And it's depending, of course, if you're growing it out in nature and the right environment. So certain things will grow in the fall. Certain things will grow in the spring. Some things will grow year long. It's not really picky. Some things need dry soil, wet soil, lots of sun, little sun, lots of water, no water. But that's what's interesting. Once you know how that seed and what it needs, then you can begin to understand and understand when you put a seed in the ground. Oh, I'm not worried about it. I can walk away for 2 weeks before something sprouts. Or I need to make adjustments. I've got to move it over here because it's too shady. So our thoughts are very similar. We need to understand how it works, but also realize what I talked about the seed. There is a part of action required, a physical movement, some energy that I needed to do something. And then there's the moment of rest, knowing and trusting that the rest will take place in its due time. And it's not that I stop tending it, but I actually move on knowing what the results will be. And I believe that that's what the author was referring to when he talked about understanding how it works, and that some people just don't know how the subconscious works, and understanding that it's 24/7, very impressionable. So I invite you to listen to that chapter, and if you need to tweak something, you might just need a little fine-tuning, a little here and there. I'm laughing because it takes all kinds of people, and there are some people out there that just they're so frustrated with life. They're frustrated with their own selves, with the people around them. They're frustrated with their neighbors. They're frustrated with the media, the government, and they're pissed off with God. And it's like, but they never really look back at their own inconsistency. They're saying that things don't work, and I tried this and I tried that. And I said, yeah, but for how long? You've got to try. You've got to, keep going until you can also work out why within you certain things didn't work out. And it reminds me of this story, which I'm probably going to butcher, but it's about the guy that kept asking for help during a storm. And there was like this big hurricane coming, right? And then the news said, okay, there's like, you have 48 hours to vacate. There's the hurricane is coming. Waters are going to, inundate the area. And the guy just says, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here. And so then, of course, everybody leaves, but he stayed at his home. Water starts coming through the house, and then somebody came in a little boat, trying to see if they wanted help. But this guy decided to get on the roof, and he keeps saying, God, you're not sending me any help. And, the water kept rising, and then the helicopter came by and says, do you want any help? But the guy just didn't realize all these were God sending him the help he kept asking for, and he wasn't taking it. Anyway, I'm sure I butchered the story, but I think you get the idea. Sometimes we think that things have to come in the package that we visualize it in our mind. But sometimes what I've learned, that was a frog outside my window. sometimes what I've come to learn is sometimes things will come in a certain way because other things are lining up for it that will make this whole journey and the experience not only great for you, but for everyone involved. There's a collective, amazing energy that's working together. And I may come short of knowing how to explain this to you, but I have evidence in my life that it happens to me all the time. Dr. Joseph Murphy also talked about the importance of having disciplined imagination, or I think he called it scientific imagination, because he wanted to kind of emphasize on the importance of the discipline, that there is a formula, and that if you follow the formula with consistency, with faith and conviction, that it's going to come through. And obviously there is the flavor of his religious overtone or this spiritual overtone, because he does quote the Bible where he says, whatsoever you ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive. It doesn't say you might, it says you shall receive. And he offers 3 steps to follow. And I'm going to bring them back here again. And he says here, the 3 steps to success in prayer. And if you don't like the word prayer, try meditation or contemplation or in supplication. Find the word that fits for you, but you know what I mean, in your request, if you like that word better. 1, he says, take a look at the problem. And if you don't like the word problem, then use the word situation, the challenge, whatever that is. Take a look at what it is that you're concerned with. Then the number 2, he says, turn to the solution or way out known only to the subconscious mind. And it's interesting because basically he's saying you look at it and really believe and know that the answer is there. And I don't know, have you heard this where it says the answer to all the questions lies in the question? The answer to the problem is in the problem. And I believe that to be true. It's just that the mind that sees the problem needs to get out of its way and now allow the answer to reveal itself to it. And thirdly, he says, rest in the sense of deep conviction that it is done. Like, okay, it is done. I'm good. I'm going to sleep, and I'm not going to lose any sleep over this, because I know that this is resolved, that it's going to come to me somewhere, somehow. It's done. I'm not going to worry about it. And when you do that, you realize one thing. You realize that what really exists is the peacefulness of the moment that you're in. Once you've turned it over, once you've moved it out, because it doesn't exist. The problem really does not exist in this space. It exists resolved somewhere else. But in this space, I could tell you right now what exists in this space. Me and you. This moment. There is nothing else happening. Just me and you right now. And it's beautiful. What's going to happen after this, that's for another story, another time. But anyway, so I believe that if we adhere to those 3 steps, which is number 1, we look at the situation. We don't hide from it. We see it. We bring it up to the boil, so I can get the cream, and look at that and believe that the answer is there. The solution is done. Turn it over to the subconscious mind. Just say whatever you want to say. If you'd like to say, God, I know that you have my best interest. I want you to, bring me the solution to this, the resources, the people, the ability, the desire, and it's done. And in the best way that is good for everyone involved. And I'm going to believe it to your timing. In the meantime, I'm going to occupy myself with the next thing that's before me. That approach is a great approach, because there are some things that need baking. There are some things that need time under the ground. And while you do that, you busy yourself with the next thing that you need to get done. And you're going to find out that it all works out. Give it a chance. And with that, let's move on to the next chapter. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Chapter 9. How to Use the Power of Your Subconscious for Wealth. If you are having financial difficulties If you are trying to make ends meet, it means you have not convinced your subconscious mind that you will always have plenty and some to spare. You know men and women who work a few hours a week and makes fabulous sums of money. They do not strive or slave hard. Do not believe the story that the only way you can become wealthy is by the sweat of your brow and hard labor. It is not so. The effortless way of life is the best. Do the things you love to do, and do it for the joy and thrill of it. I know an executive in Los Angeles who receives a salary of $75,000 yearly. Last year, he went on a 9-month cruise, seeing the world and its beauty spots. He said to me that he had succeeded in convincing his subconscious mind that he was worth that much money. He told me that many men in his organization, getting about $100 a week, knew more about the business than he did and could manage it better. But they had no ambition, no creative ideas, and were not interested in the wonders of their subconscious mind. Wealth is of the mind. Wealth is simply a subconscious conviction on the part of the individual. You will not become a millionaire by saying, "I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire." You will grow into a wealth conscience by building into your mentality the idea of wealth and abundance. Your invisible means of support. The trouble with most people is that they have no invisible means of support. When business falls away, the stock market drops, or they lose their investments, they seem helpless. The reason for such insecurity is that they do not know how to tap the subconscious mind. They are unacquainted with the inexhaustible storehouse within. A man with a poverty-type mind finds himself in poverty-stricken conditions. Another man with a mind filled with ideas of wealth is surrounded with everything he needs. It was never intended that man should lead a life of indigence. You can have wealth, everything you need, and plenty to spare. Your words have power to cleanse your mind of wrong ideas and to instill right ideas in their place. The ideal method for building a wealth consciousness. Perhaps you're saying as you read this chapter, "I need wealth and success." This is what you do. Repeat for about 5 minutes to yourself 3 or 4 times a day, "Wealth, success." These words have tremendous power. They represent the inner power of the subconscious mind. Anchor your mind on this substantial power within you. Then conditions and circumstances correspond to their nature and quality will be manifested in your life. You are not saying, "I am wealthy." You are dwelling on real powers within you. There is no conflict in the mind when you say wealth. Furthermore, the feeling of wealth will well up within you as you dwell on the idea of wealth. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. Keep this in mind at all times. Your subconscious mind is like a bank, a sort of universal financial institution. It magnifies whatever you deposit or impress upon it, whether it is idea of wealth or of poverty. Choose wealth. Why your affirmations for wealth fail. I have talked to many people during the past 35 years whose usual complaint is, "I have said for weeks and months, I am wealthy, I am prosperous, and nothing has happened." I discovered that when they said, "I am prosperous, I am wealthy," they felt within that they were lying to themselves. One man told me, "I have affirmed that I am prosperous until I'm tired. Things are now worse. I knew when I made the statement that it was obviously not true." His statements were rejected by the conscious mind, and the very opposite of what he outwardly affirmed and claimed was made manifest. Your affirmation succeeds best when it is specific and when it does not produce a mental conflict or argument. Hence, the statements made by this man made matters worse because they suggested his lack. Your subconscious accepts what you really feel to be true, not just idle words or statements. the dominant idea or belief is always accepted by the subconscious mind. How to avoid mental conflict. The following is the ideal way to overcome this conflict for those who have this difficulty. Make this practical statement frequently, particularly prior to sleep. By day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. This affirmation will not arouse any argument because it does not contradict your subconscious mind's impression of financial lack. I suggested to one businessman whose sales and finances were very low and who was greatly worried that he sit down in his office, become quiet, and repeat this statement over and over again. My sales are improving every day. This statement engaged the cooperation of the conscious and subconscious mind. Results followed. Don't sign blank checks. You sign blank checks when you make such statements as, there's not enough to go around, there's a shortage, I will lose the house because of the mortgage, etc. If you are full of fear about the future, you are also writing a blank check and attracting negative conditions to you. Your subconscious mind takes your fear and negative statement as your request and proceeds in its own way to bring obstacles, delays, lack, and limitation into your life. Your subconscious gives you compound interest. To him that hath the feeling of wealth, more wealth shall be added. To him that hath feeling of lack, more lack shall be added. Your subconscious multiplies and magnifies whatever you deposit in it. Every morning as you awaken, deposit thoughts of prosperity, success, wealth, and peace. Dwell upon these concepts. Busy your mind with them as often as possible. These constructive thoughts will find their way as deposits in your subconscious mind and bring forth abundance and prosperity. Why nothing happened. I can hear you saying, oh, I did that and nothing happened. You did not get results because you indulged in fear thoughts, perhaps 10 minutes later, and neutralized the good you had affirmed. When you place a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up. You let it take root and grow. Suppose, for example, you are going to say, I shall not be able to make that payment. Before you get further than, I shall, stop the sentence and dwell on a constructive statement such as, by day and by night, I am prospered in all my ways. True source of wealth. Your subconscious mind is never short of ideas. There are within it an infinite number of ideas ready to flow into your conscious mind and appear as cash in your pocketbook in countless ways. This process will continue to go on in your mind regardless of whether the stock market goes up or down, or whether the pound sterling or dollar drops in value. Your wealth is never truly dependent on bonds, stocks, or money in the bank. These are really only symbols, necessary and useful, of course, but only symbols. The point I wish to emphasize is that if you convince your subconscious mind that wealth is yours and that it is always circulating in your life, you will always and inevitably have it, regardless of the form it takes. Trying to make ends meet and the real cause. There are people who claim that they are always trying to make ends meet. They seem to have a great struggle to meet their obligations. Have you listened to their conversation? In many instances, their conversation runs along this vein. They are constantly condemning those who have succeeded in life and who have raised their heads above the crowd. Perhaps they are saying, oh, that fellow has a racket. He is ruthless. He's a crook. This is why they lack. They are condemning the thing they desire and want. The reason they speak critically of their more prosperous associates is because they're envious and covetous of the other's prosperity. The quickest way to cause wealth to take wings and fly away is to criticize and condemn others who have more wealth than you. A common stumbling block to wealth. There is one emotion which is the cause of the lack of wealth in the lives of many. Most people learn this the hard way. It is envy. For example, if you see a competitor depositing large sums of money in the bank and you have only a meager amount to deposit, does it make you envious? The way to overcome this emotion is to say to yourself, "Isn't it wonderful? I rejoice in that man's prosperity. I wish for him greater and greater wealth." To entertain envious thoughts is devastating because it places you in a very negative position. Therefore, wealth flows from you instead of to you. If you are ever annoyed or irritated by the prosperity or great wealth of another, claim immediately that you truly wish for him greater wealth in every possible way. This will neutralize the negative thoughts in your mind and cause an ever greater measure of wealth to flow to you by the law of your own subconscious mind. Rubbing out a great mental block to wealth. If you are worried and critical about someone whom you claim is making money dishonestly, cease worrying about him. You know such a person is using the law of mind negatively. The law of mind takes care of him. Be careful not to criticize him for the reasons previously indicated. Remember, the block or obstacle to wealth is in your own mind. You can now destroy that mental block. This you may do by getting on mental good terms with everyone. Sleep and grow rich. As you go to sleep at night, practice the following technique. Repeat the word wealth quietly, easily, and feelingly. Do this over and over again, just like a lullaby. Lull yourself to sleep with the one word, wealth. You should be amazed at the result. Wealth should flow to you in avalanches of abundance. This is another example of the magic power of your subconscious mind. Serve yourself with the powers of your mind. 1. Decide to be wealthy the easy way with the infallible aid of your subconscious mind. 2. Trying to accumulate wealth by the sweat of your brow and hard labor is one way to become the richest man in the graveyard. You do not have to strive or slave hard. 3. Wealth is a subconscious conviction. Build into your mentality the idea of wealth. 4. The trouble with most people is that they have no invisible means of support. 5. Repeat the word wealth to yourself slowly and quietly for about 5 minutes prior to sleep, and your subconscious will bring wealth to pass in your experience. 6. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. Keep this in mind at all times. 7. Your conscious and subconscious mind must agree. Your subconscious accepts what you really feel to be true. The dominant idea is always accepted by your subconscious mind. The dominant idea should be wealth, not poverty. 8. You can overcome any mental conflict regarding wealth by affirming frequently, by day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. 9. Increase your sales by repeating the statement over and over again. My sales are improving every day. I am advancing, progressing, and getting wealthier every day. 10. Stop writing blank checks such as there is not enough to go around or there is a shortage, etc. Such statements magnify and multiply your loss. 11. Deposit thoughts of prosperity, wealth, and success in your subconscious mind, and the latter will give you compound interest. 12. What you consciously affirm, you must not mentally deny a few moments later. This will neutralize the good you have affirmed. 13. Your true source of wealth consists of the ideas in your mind. You can have an idea worth millions of dollars. Your subconscious will give you the idea you seek. 14. Envy and jealousy are stumbling blocks to the flow of wealth. Rejoice in the prosperity of others. 15. The block to wealth is in your own mind. Destroy that block now by getting on good mental terms with everyone. End of chapter. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's head over to the next video as we continue on with the book titled The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.